Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to All About You, the new series, Time to Blossom. And indeed, we want every single person watching this show to blossom. But I want to start by asking you a question. Have you ever thought about what your Google search says about you? Think about that, because today we're going to be exploring this topic much deeper and focusing on young people. And of course, young people. So helping me today is Bijou, who coordinates the VYG with her husband here in the UK. How are you today, Bijou?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me tonight, Matilda.
No problem. So are you a Google warrior?
I mean, I use it for the positive things. I wouldn't say that I use it as bad or as much as young people use it today.
Yeah.
Because today, when you think about Google, when you think about social media, think about anything to do with online, you think of young people. It has been created to attack the young mind, to gauge their attention. And you see that once they're hooked, they find it hard to come out of it.
Exactly. And you deal with them on a day-to-day basis, basically every day.
Basically,
so you know the problems that they face as a result, of the Google searches, the online addictions. And this is what we are going to be talking about today, because we want you to understand that Google has its positives, but there's also the downside. For instance, we were born at a time when, the internet was just starting, it was emerging, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. It was there, but it wasn't so much in your face.
Exactly.
But now everything is online.
Yeah.
And with everything that is online, it's also good. We have like the practical side. You want to find a recipe. How do I make fish? Oh, I want to buy a new top today. Oh, here you go. I'm going to search for this certain shop. So it's good. It's nice. We use it for studying, for research purposes, right? When you're at uni, you used Google a lot, right, for your studies?
Yeah, I did. When I was at uni, we had this thing called Google Scholar. So it's a part of Google where you use to find articles, journals related to this, obviously the topic that you're studying. So it has its benefits. With every benefit, there are also negatives, right? And that's what we'll be touching upon today.
Exactly. And with the young people, we want you to understand, we're not saying that you should just stay away from the internet. No, because like we said, it has its good sides. But you deal with them every day and you see how much there's a rise, for instance, with mental health issues. Actually, today, I was searching, the top things that young people go online to search about. And one of the key things is mental health issues. So they say, oh, how do I deal with my mental health? How do I cope with anxieties? How do I deal with stress? Or how do I, get a new relationship? So these are the things that young people are Googling. And I was asking myself, why? It's because of things they are seeing online.
Exactly.
With young people, even nowadays, there's a rise in addictions. There's a rise in like comparisons, low self-esteem. And a lot of times it's because of things that they are seeing on Google, influencers, all these things are affecting their minds. And the downside of these things, because like I said, you deal with them on a day-to-day basis.
And you see, like I said, there's always a positive and there's always negatives. And as you mentioned, the negatives of searching online are addictions. And once you get hooked, like I mentioned before, it's so hard to leave that because you become so consumed. You enter this world that can become very dangerous. People go online, especially young people, they go online searching, how do I feel better about myself? How do I know myself? They try to discover who they're supposed to be online. We even have things such as AI nowadays, ChatGPT. And these are things like that becoming like fillers. Instead of people having communication, actual interactions with their peers, they're socializing online. So you find that they're becoming so, inclusive, closed. It's very hard for them to communicate. It's very hard for them to express themselves. You sit down with a young person and you ask them, how are you feeling today? And they'll say, I don't know. They don't really know themselves anymore. And that's because of that's the downside of things online.
And you see, perhaps you're a young person watching and you're thinking, it's not that deep. My Google search, what I Google, it's not that deep. No, it is that deep.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, when last did you go out? Did you socialize? When last did you, talk to someone that wasn't online? Maybe you're Googling things that you're not meant to Google. You're talking to someone online that you're not meant to be talking to. You're filling your mind with things that you're not meant to be. And remember, everything online is not real. People can edit things nowadays online. People go online and you go on Wikipedia, for instance, and you read an information, but You don't even know that that information is real.
People have become great at graphic designing. So because of that, it's easy to edit themselves to being or presenting themselves as somebody that they're not. So there's this term catfishing. You think you're talking to somebody and they present a nice profile picture, but on the other side of that picture is somebody completely different. So you don't know what you're getting yourself into at times. It is a very dangerous world if you don't use Google or any search engine properly.
Exactly. So this is why we're here talking to you today. You know, maybe perhaps nowadays it's more like, oh, everything for you. It's okay, Google. It's no longer, okay, mom, okay, dad, okay, my friend. Everything now is okay, Google. But has Google been controlling you?
Yeah.
So young person, we're here to advise you today because we want you to grow. Like we said, we want you to blossom, but you will only blossom if you strike the right balance. You go online to do the things that you need to do. You don't let the internet control you. You don't let Google control you. You control your time. You control the things that you see online, and that way you are going to grow. You know, and Bijou, I want to also, let the young people know how they can stop, Googling things unnecessary. What can they do? Because they are saying, okay, well, how can we stop this? Because I don't know what to do. I don't know how to overcome this. What are practical ways that a young person can avoid unnecessary Google searches?
So we've come up with 5 points to help the young people, or not just young people, any person who's watching the program tonight, to help them avoid unnecessary Google searches. So the first point I would say is to substitute that Google time, if I can say that, for other hobbies.
All right.
So you find that a lot of people nowadays are always online. They're always online. So why not substitute that time that you would be online to do something else? Maybe read a book, maybe learn how to cook a new recipe, spend time with family. Like we mentioned a few minutes ago, that a lot of young people, they don't know how to interact anymore. You find that they're locked up upstairs in their room, headphones on, phone in their hand, searching online, and their family's downstairs having dinner. So why not substitute that time to have social interactions? Because social interactions are also good for you. They help to develop your mind. They help to develop new skills. And reading a book also, it helps to do that.
No, indeed, exactly. You have to read a book. You have to be open-minded to try new things.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say as well is be selective. Nowadays online we have clickbaits. So you go online, you want to search one thing, but then as you're there searching, something else comes up. And you're like, okay, let me just click. And then you click, and then you click, and then you click. And then you're not selective with what you're watching online, what you're Googling. So you have to be selective. Okay, you tell yourself, do you know what? Today I'm only going to read about, I'm only going on Google to research a topic for my uni. You go. You be defined with your time. I'm only going to spend this time to this time, with my uni work, and that's it. But maybe if you're searching online and something else comes up, how to, give me an example, how to make money in an illegal way. You're going to say, no, hang on, I'm not going to click on this.
That's not what I came here for.
This is not what I came for. This is a clickbait, so I'm just going to avoid this. Do you understand? So you have to be selective, and this means you have to be intentional. You have to go, and I know it's not easy, because we all use the internet, and this has happened to us. You go for one thing, and then something else comes up,
and you're like, oh,
no, this exactly. Here. But if we're not intentional with our time and in what we're Googling, Google will consume us.
Exactly.
So be selective, okay? Third point, Bijou.
Well, you kind of touched upon it regarding time. So timing yourself. Time yourself to see how long you're going to spend online. You see, like Matilda was mentioning, sometimes you can click on something, and because you've clicked on something, other things will pop up that are similar to what you have selected. So be intentional with your time. If you have 30 minutes, use that 30 minutes to do your research, use that 30 minutes to search for whatever it is that you need, but don't go over that, because once you go over that, that's when you get hooked into this world, that's when you get lost into it, and then time passes and you ask yourself, what have I done? I could have done this, but I didn't do it, because you just allowed time to take over. You allowed the Google searching, the online social media to just take over you. So we have to be able to time ourselves, be disciplined.
Exactly. And so we also have as well, feeding your mind with positive content, because there's a lot of rubbish online. I'm just going to say it out like that. There is a lot of rubbish on the internet, on Google. So you have to go on Google like this. Okay, I'm going to feed myself with something that is positive for me. we have the uckg.org website.
Yes.
You can go on uckg.org. You can find out about what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, you can see, okay, what activities are coming
What
up,
events
what
are
events
happening.
are happening. You know, there's so many other positive things that you can do online. But if you don't feed yourself with this positive content, you're just going to end up feeding your mind with rubbish. And then you're just going to ask yourself, oh, why do I have mental health issues? Why am I always struggling with this? Why am I always struggling with that? Have you ever thought about what you've been reading, what you've been looking at, what you've been searching? Because perhaps if you go deeper into these things, you'll find out why as a young person, you know, you're always fidgety, you're always anxious, you can't think straight anymore. Like everything for you is like, oh my gosh, it's too much, it's too much. Check your Google searches. In fact, as we're watching this program, do you know what I would like you to do? Whip out your phone and search check the last, search on Google. What is it?
That's some homework for you.
Yes, homework. I've given them a very early homework, but whip out your phone right now. Check your Google search and you're going to find out a lot about yourself. You're going to see, okay, I've been searching, things that I shouldn't search. I've been looking at people that I shouldn't look at, Googling influencers that I shouldn't look at. So as you watch this program, bring out your phone and do this, and you're going to find out a lot about you.
Matilda, just to add to that homework, and it also links to the last point that I mentioned about timing yourself. They should also look at their screen time. How long have they been spending online? Because then they'll be able to see what they've been wasting time on.
Exactly.
Because that's time that they're never going to get back.
No, and our time is precious.
Very precious.
And Bijou, there's this term that young people use nowadays called FOMO. What is FOMO?
Fear of missing out. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Type there. What is FOMO? Because a lot of people
definitely
they
know
are hooked on Google, right? Because of FOMO. So explain.
So this is links to our last point, right? Don't be afraid of missing out. It's not everything that you need to search. Maybe your friends are looking things up and they speak about it in school, college, at work, wherever you are. Just because they're doing it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you also have to do it. There is this thing of, I don't want to miss out. I'm going to be the, I don't know, the black sheep.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be the one that's going to be
I'm going to be the
laughed
loser.
at. Exactly. But okay, what if you don't know? Is not a problem. You don't need to know everything. Because sometimes knowing too much of everything can cause a problem. That's when insecurities come in, lack of self-esteem, because you compare yourself to other people, especially when you're there online. You see all these influencers, you see the things that they're doing, you look at yourself, wait, what about my life? Rather than boosting your confidence, you're there feeling sad about yourself, treating yourself like a victim. So don't be afraid of missing out.
Wow, so we learned a new term today, FOMO. Keep that one in mind. But you know what? There's no way we can conclude this program today without talking about the Word of God, because the Word of God has an answer for everything. If you want to know how to defeat this, internet search, internet addiction, Google search addiction, look to the Bible. And I want to read something for you in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 12. And it says like this: all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful for me. All things are lawful, but I will not be brought under the control of any. The Word of God is teaching us that we are free to do what we want, but we can't let the things of this world control us. We can't let the internet control us. We can't let Google control us. You as a young person, you have to reclaim your life back. You have to not allow the internet dominate your mind. If you're watching me right now and you said, you know what, I've been struggling with mental health issues, I've been struggling with anxiety disorders, I don't know how to talk to people anymore because my whole life is my Google search. It's lawful, it's helpful, but don't let it control you anymore. Use the Word of God to feed your mind. In the VYG, Bijou, there's a lot of activities that young people can do. There are a lot of things that, they can do. You have activities. The VYG is always live. The VYG is, if there is one thing I can say about the VYG, they are always active, yes or no?
Always active. There's always something happening. We do not stop. Actually,
I want you now to use this time to tell us more about the work of the VYG. What is the VYG? And if there's someone watching that says, I want to find out about this. I've been hearing about VYG. What is VYG?
So the Victory Youth Group, also known as the VYG, is one of the largest youth networks here in the UK. And what do we do? What is our mission statement? We go out to help young people. young people between the ages of 14 to 25. Now, that age gap is a very crucial age gap because there's a lot of things happening. You're transforming, you're growing, you're developing in your mind, you're developing physically, and there's so many things happening around you that sometimes you're being pulled in so many different directions. So we help you to align yourself according to the word of God, align yourself so that you know the direction in which you're going. We help you to overcome your battles, internal battles. Sometimes, especially as young people, Matilda, there's so many battles that they're facing. They're being told one thing by somebody, then they're being told something else. They're being labeled. They're constantly being labeled and they don't know who they are. We help them to find their identity according to the word of God. Because even in the word of God, it says that young people are strong, but many times they don't feel like they're strong. They feel very weak. They feel very attacked. They feel very misunderstood. So we help to understand them. We listen. We don't judge.
And you have their coordinators, people that can help them, that can speak to them without judging them.
Without judging. People who have also walked the same path as them. So they can come. Sometimes young people feel like, oh, but you don't know my story. I've been through something that you don't understand. Believe me, we've been through it.
So if there's a young person watching for the first time and they say, I want to come to the VYG, what are the times of the meetings and how can they find you online?
So if you would like to come and join us at the VYG, we gather together twice a week on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and on Sundays at 1:30 p.m. You could email us at vyg@uckg.org or follow us on Instagram at officialvyg.
By the way, VYG stands for Victory Youth Group. For some people are probably wondering, VYG, what is VYG? VYG stands for Victory Youth Group, okay? So this is very interesting and I'm excited because I know that there are young people watching today who are going to benefit from today's program and they're going to come to the VYG and they're going to say, oh my gosh, this is live Sunday. You're going to scream, you're going to shout, you're going to dance, but you know what? You're going to leave there refreshed, renewed, revived. And this is what we want, for the young people that are watching us today. And so, look, I want to also tell you something. The Word of God also says, fill your mind with what is lawful, what is helpful. I'm paraphrasing, what is pure. Because nowadays, there's no shortage of things that wants to bombard you, especially because of Google searches. Don't allow yourself to be taken in, okay? Fill your mind with the Word of God. If you want to know how to be a young person that is strong, that overcomes, it's the Word of God. It's the Word of God that set us free. It's the Word of God that set Bijou free. It's the Word of God that set me free. And the Word of God wants to set you free today, okay? So I hope today's program has helped you. But before we go, there's a question to be answered from one of the viewers, okay?
So the question is, I'm a young lady of 25 years old.
Okay.
My parents don't want me to date. They want me to finish school, start to work, then only after that I can date. What should I do?
Okay, interesting question. Okay, you're 25, your parents don't want you to date. You have to ask yourself, why? Are you that young person that maybe your mom looks at you or your dad or whoever and they look at you and they say, she doesn't do anything. Maybe you're always on Google. Maybe you're not doing much with your life and they see that you're not ready for a relationship because to be in a relationship, you have to have a mature mind. Not perfect, but we have to establish ourselves, working on ourselves. So maybe your parents are looking at you thinking, oh no, she doesn't cook, she doesn't clean, she's lazy.
Exactly.
And so they look at you and they think, oh no, if she gets married, she's not going to be able to help anyone. Maybe this is why they don't want you to date. And you have to be humble. And you have to ask yourself, okay, does my mom have a point? Does my dad have a point? What do I need to work on? Because when I enter a relationship, I want to add. I don't want to just be one more in a person's life. I want to add to this person's life. So this is something that you have to think about. Or perhaps your mom or your dad, they're on the other side. They're just very overprotective of you. And they don't want you to leave their nest. They're holding to you because, you're their baby girl. And oh my gosh, if she goes, what's going to happen to us? Sit down with your parents, have a conversation. Explain to them, look, mom, look, dad, I'm not a child anymore. I know what I'm doing. But in this, you have to be humble. And one way that you have to be humble is by attending the love therapy. We have this seminar every Thursday at 8 p.m., which myself and Bijou, we both attend. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. that helps you, become a better woman. You work on your internal issues. You work on the things that you know that you need to fix so that when you eventually get into a relationship, you know that you will be ready. You're not going to detract from anyone, but you're going to add to this person's life. So ask yourself this question: am I really ready for a relationship? If you say you are, still come to the love therapy. But if you say you're not, definitely come to the love therapy, because it's definitely going to bless you, okay? And the love therapy takes place every Thursday at 232 Seven Sisters Road here in Finsbury Park, all right? So I hope today's program have helped you all. Bijou, it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, we want you to blossom, and we hope we see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.